Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Edge of Tech right here on multiple streams tonight. I have been super lucky and was invited to a Friday night live. And as you can see, we got Nerys right over here. We got the man, Mr. Luke Hatfield, right behind us. And Ben just disappeared, so he'll be back shortly. But Ben from Creality is in the house as well, or will be. So we're going to get him. There he is. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm great. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's a great Friday night to be hiding by myself in my shop. How about
nice.
you, Nerys? How you doing over there? Oh, I think we can't hear you. I think you're muted.
There Keeping my victims happy.
There you go.
There you go.
Luke, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I was going to say a shout out to a guy I just saw online with me last night, and Gary Walsh. He was looking forward to the broadcast, I think, and just saying hi to him.
Nice. Well, so I just want to let everybody know real quick before we fire off, we're going to be on here for a little bit. I think we're planning it around an hour-ish, right? I think that's about the time. We are live on my channel, The Edge of Tech. We are live on the Nerys channel for Chris's channel, and we're also live on the Creality Facebook channel, or Facebook page, I'm sorry. So if you guys have any questions, shoot them in the live chat, and we can see all of the chats combined. So we'll throw it out there, and we'll get some questions going. Sorry, Luke, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say we don't have a formal agenda tonight. We tried not to talk too much before the stream started so that you guys can be sort of involved with anything that just naturally happens. But send questions. Try not to get too overly technical, but we'll answer what we can. And if you have topics that you want to discuss other than the current social problem that we have.
No human malware.
There you go.
No human malware.
I just want to say Old Curmudgeon said, an hour isn't that long. Well, we'll see. We'll see where we're at in an hour, and we'll see how everybody feels. And if we're rolling, maybe we'll go longer. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have the option. We have the end button at hand.
Yeah, we got a lot of great people in the house.
I have yet to see any questions. I am trying to monitor the stream.
We're good. I got it up on mine and up over here too. We're getting some great comments from Facebook as well. Jacob says Creality is the best. Creality says hi.
Oh no, 3D Printing Mama killed his own stream to come over here.
Oh no. John,
thank you for doing that. We appreciate it.
John from the Philippines says hi on Facebook as well. And then, of course, we have all of our, as Chris would call them, our victims on the YouTubes streaming in from all 3 locations right now. So, hey, everybody. 3D D&D Maker says hi. Nova says, hey Nova. Old Curmudgeon, 3D Print Viking, Ron Connors. We got just a ton of people. Mr. Buttram, #Wingman number 2 is in the house. But so how you guys been? I know it's been kind of a crazy week, and a lot of people have been doing some streams. And I know Luke kind of put this together with Ben and then invited myself and Chris. So we definitely appreciate that. But how have you guys been doing as a collective hanging out this week?
I've been doing good. Keep my critters happy. My town isn't going crazy like most places. Actually, our biggest problem is roving bands of people from the city coming out here to clean out all the stores.
Well, you've been posting some really cool prints too lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Chris has a bunch of stuff in store for you that I'm pretty sure we'll get to see throughout the stream today.
Right.
He's been having way more fun printing than I have. I've been on the road working all this week, so I haven't been printing much. I have a prototype of a bowling ball holder for a school that I'm working on. So it's the thing you put your bowling ball on while the team is bowling or whatever. It'll have the player's name on it.
Oh, there you go.
It has the school thing on it.
That's awesome.
Never mind the under extrusion. That was just I was a form factor testing, not using quality filament, and really dialed it in or anything.
So hey Ben, I'm not sure if you can answer this question or not, but we did have a really good question from Dennis, and actually it's a question that I was going to ask you too. He says, will Creality be offering separate resin trays for the LD002R?
The VATs.
Oh,
The VATs, yeah.
You mean the? Okay, I yes, we do have. Last time I think Chris already mentioned this in the first time we sent him the beta, the beta version of printers. I think we need we're still considering, yes, and also think other companies are doing, and it's but I think since this virus thing, it's really delays a lot of stuff. But we know this already, so we will see if we could do something later with this separate trace.
Yeah, I would love that. And the other thing that I would love to see is an extra build plate, like the actual plate itself that goes on.
So you can start it printing again and then clean the other one while the other one's working.
That, or if you're like me,
Changing
and you
colors.
accidentally, if you're like me and you accidentally scratch yours, maybe you want a new one. But yeah, a new one. If you guys sold extra ones of those, like Luke said, you could pull that one off, throw a new one on, and start a print right away. That would be amazing.
Oh,
Plus, if you want to change colors, you need different vats.
And vats.
There is a little background engineering there, because if they don't index right, you may not be able to hot swap it. That'll be
That's true.
to work out. That's right.
You know what? That's true. You'd have to level both of them, and that would be,
It's not even leveling. If they don't insert exactly the same way each time, you're going to have an offset.
Yeah, that would be the indexing thing that basically E3D was sorting out as they did their multi-tool changer thing, right? Trying to get feedback. But either way, it'd still be nice to have the option, because it if you worked at it, you might be able to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Sean. From all of us, you're welcome.
Yeah. I think all of us in our own way are doing this because we enjoy helping the community in our own individual way. Some people think that we do it for money and fame.
Sure.
If we're doing it for that, I got robbed.
So Inventor Square has a great point. He says, can we do formal introductions for those of us who may be here and don't know each other?
All right.
And that we could definitely do that. My name's Jim. I run the YouTube channel, The Edge of Tech, and we also have a Monday show called Hotmakes. And you can find it on the channel called The Edge of Tech. I believe it's all in the links. I linked all three of our channels here. And that's who I am. Chris.
My name is Nerys, or Chris, and I have a YouTube channel, and my cat is giving us a little show back here.
That cat loves that chair.
Oh, they love sitting on top of there.
All right. All right. So this is Ben. I'm from Creality, which produces the most popular CR10 3D printers like Ender 3, and let's hear from Luke. Yeah.
All right. So I'm Luke. I'm known under different guises throughout the communities. I have a online moniker that's Onebadmarine. I use that at Thingiverse and on YouTube. And then within the Facebook groups, I'm known as Luke Hatfield, and some other things, sometimes good, sometimes derogatory, but also the guy that spams the 3D or the hot and fix, because I think that it's a really valuable tool to help a lot of the new people out that are struggling with under extruding prints.
And I see some people out there throwing out the Nerdy J nickname. That is my nickname, my moniker, we'll call it, on my Monday night show. And people out there who are watching are throwing it out there. But we had some really good questions. I'm trying to keep up with them so we can throw them out there and we can ask. I know I did miss a couple, but Marty Jordan says, what kind of is there a certain filament I should be using for printing masks? Are any of the filaments harmful? Anyone can jump in. I think you're probably safe with PLA or PETG. ABS is probably fine.
For a mask?
Yeah.
All right, here's the thing with the masks. If you're going to be making, if like a local medical place wants you to help them make masks, you want the PLA part to be as little as possible, and then you use the plastic shield, because the PLA parts are basically one-time use. So they're going to use them for a session, and then they can't use them again because there's no way to sterilize the PLA part. So the less plastic you can use, the more minimalist you can make them, then they can just swap the sterilizable face shield to the new PLA part so that it maintains integrity, because the virus can live on plastic for, I think, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So, yeah. And while we're talking about that, what is a easier to clean. We'll call it maybe not food safe, but an easier to clean plastic. For instance, Nova threw out that she wanted to print something for her gecko, and she wants to make sure it's safe. But
It doesn't matter. It's not the plastic that's a problem. PLA,
Process.
PETG, they're all perfectly safe. They're all food safe. They're all fine. The problem is the actual printing process, the layers. There's no way to clean out the layers. So if you want to make a safe plastic part for your pet or your child, you have to polyurethane coat it. Now you're no longer
the urethane is key.
Now you're no longer trying to clean the plastic. You just need IPA to wipe down the polyurethane coating.
Good idea.
You essentially all the voids that we've created got to be filled with something else that is quote unquote food safe or biologically safe instead of the plastic.
So, the other thing about that Nova is you want to be careful if you're going to throw that in for your gecko. You want to make sure it's not anywhere near that heat lamp, because you don't want the polyurethane or the plastic near the heat. Keep that away from the heat.
Spoken by a true pet owner.
Yeah, we got a bearded dragon. That's a pretty good sized bearded dragon.
Nova Leary, I do not know if the spray-on polyurethane is sufficient. I don't know if you just need more layers or if it's different. I don't know.
So, sorry, if I could say yes, we talking about masks. So we about profile or design. I don't know that much, but for the company also yes, because we mainly produce 3D printers. But for the masks, we do have. I think we prepare like. I think 30,000 to 50,000 face masks, so for free to send out. But just customers already buying up our printers in any site. I think we should release it today. Everybody could go there, just put your info, and then we'll send you free. I think 3 to 5 masks of each pack. So.
Oh, nice. So if they go on the Creality website and they need some masks, they just need to go in and sign up. You guys will send them some masks.
Yes, it's free. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. That's awesome, Creality.
And of course, don't forget with resins, the applications.
That's very kind of the company.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The resins, the proper usage of the resin is also important because resins are 2 parts. Okay, like epoxies. And if you do not properly mix them, you're going to have leftover hardener and leftover resin, and you might not be as safe that way. So they have to be fully cured.
Oh,
Jesse, that's a good point.
And I got caught eating on the stream. It's a party foul, but the timing worked out that way. So everybody's got to know. You want to know? We'll show you.
That's it. You're out of here. No, I'm just joking.
I got
that looks good.
Beef pie salad, so it's got really healthy ingredients for my keto diet in there, and it's basically meat and some veg and whatnot.
Marty says very cool.
Hey, we have Elon Musk with us. Awesome.
Time out.
Nice.
Hello?
We got people on the Facebook page saying hey and hi. Thank you. Hi.
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool. I don't think we've ever streamed to multiple YouTube channels and Facebook at the same time. So, yeah, pretty cool. Dan's in the house. He says hello, all. Hey, Dan. So, Nerys, I know someone mentioned it earlier. They said that you printed. They want to see your life-size print, is what they were saying. Do you have them around you?
I have no way of taking the camera to them, but I might be able to bring them over here. Hang on.
All right, let's do it.
So first, I have life-size the child.
Oh, nice.
And then I have a 3-kilogram Zelda.
Holy moly. That turned out really good. What'd you print that on?
Hang on. I'm going to mute the mic so I can use the speaker so I can hear you. Go ahead.
There we go. Nice. Very cool. So that was a 3-kilogram Zelda, he said.
And now I'll get the really big ones.
All right. Hey, Luke's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to deal with the family issue.
No, you're good. And you got the food going. So.
And the cat just snuck across the bottom of the screen. I'd pick her up, but I might get torn apart. She's partly feral, the cat. So
Are you outside in your shop, in your garage area, or are you inside?
Yeah, I'm in my garage.
Nice.
Here, I'll grab her for a second. I think I can get away with it. Her name is Ashley, and she might yell in a minute. But
And this
so
is
this is Ashley.
real sexy cyborg.
She was a feral rescue kitten. She's pretty well behaved, but she'll still tear me up every once in a while.
Nice. So that's a life-size Naomi Wu. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, he's been printing some just huge stuff. I got some big stuff. I need to get my Ender 5 Plus here. I'm dialing it in now for a couple of really long prints. It's going to be almost 2 full kilograms, and combining them into one. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
He's got the full size Naomi there.
There you go. We'll just
that may actually be taller than she is, I think.
It's almost exactly the same height, except I forgot the hair. So if anybody's 3D printed anything at all, you should be familiar with Louis Driggers.
Nice.
She made the Adelinda dragon and the Aria dragons. Well, this is her sorceress.
She's a phenomenal model. She does some awesome modeling, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
she does.
Since Chris got relocated, he's been able to put his printers to better use.
Yeah,
pretty good background.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, on some weird level, that's a little bit creepy standing over your shoulder.
Good. There we go. That's
my mic
creep on.
Andrew S says my mic keeps cutting in and out. Does it?
It's me because I've been having bandwidth issues.
Yeah.
Dan says, it didn't pop up on here yet. Dan also says, thank you for the hot end fix. I'm running it on both my Ender 3s.
Yeah. I don't even think it's on the calendar, but I think it'd be interesting if they did a reissue of the Ender 2 again.
I love the Ender 2.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the Ender 2 upgrade.
Ben's over there like, don't throw me under the bus, Luke. People are going to ask for it, and we don't have it.
Let's do an Ender 2 with the fixed dual drive feeder unit and linear rails. Let's really nail it nice.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So am I still cutting in and out? Somebody said I was cutting in and out. Actually, like 5 people now said I'm in and out.
Seem okay to me.
Yeah. If anybody's in and out, it's me. I'm going Mr. Roboto on my end at least.
I just wonder what stream they're watching. Is it mine? Is it you? Is it Chris's, or is it Creality?
Yeah, with it being on 3 different end streams, you know.
She has a bikini on. It's just all black. You can't see it.
She hasn't been painted yet.
Yeah.
The Ender 6 XXL.
I'm not very good.
Yeah, there's people out there that want like a 1,000 by 1,000 print bed, but nobody has the space. I know that talking with I had some friends in sales in Creality, and they have a hard time even getting the Ender 5s, or not Ender 5s, but the
Max
CR10S5. They don't move a lot
because it's niche.
It is, and the people that want the 1,000 millimeter bed or whatever, that's even a smaller niche than the 5.
There might be 100 people in the world who want one.
Yeah, that's pretty much where it's at.
Now, what would be nice is an upgrade to the S5, maybe go 667.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't take that much more, except for the bed itself, of course.
So people were saying that something was maybe I was cutting out on the Creality stream. I'm not sure. I'm watching. Mr. Butcham says, "I'm watching your stream, Jim. Your mic does come and go, but it's not bad enough that we can't understand you." I'm wondering if it's because there's 4 of us talking and that it's trying to auto mix everybody in.
Yep.
The
leveling.
Yeah. So people in the background know. Chris and I, and even to some extent Jim, have a closer relationship with Creality than some other people do. And we are listening to what's going on in the community. I'm in the Facebook communities every day, listening to what people are talking about, what they're having trouble with. And there is an effort going on to give you more of what you want. I'm not going to say that every printer is going to come with an aluminum extruder just because we said that that's a good idea. But those are the types of conversations that are happening in the background. And I think it's starting to go in the product as we go forward, that they are listening to what the community has to say and what they're wanting. So that's encouraging to me.
Yeah, Gary Walsh, if anybody were to do a 1 meter square printer, it would better to be something like the Ender 5 Plus, not something like a CR10.
Yeah, there's definitely a heavy liking for the non-moving bed of the square frame printers. I could see that one even taking on a little bit bigger form factor and or filling out that line with maybe an interim in between the standard 5 and the 5 Plus.
One thing I would like to see is 2 changes to the Ender 5. Is I'd like to see a second lead screw and set of rails like the Ender 5 Plus. Because the only problem with the Ender 5 is if anybody bumps the table or if you have another printer on the table, that bed will vibrate. And then the other thing is right now the printer looks like this. So you have your 2 rails. I can't tell which finger's which.
Yeah.
But you have your 2
the way the
rails
overlaps
and the
are
cross rail.
so that it strengthens it more.
Well, you can't see the bed when it's at 0. So what I'd like to see them do is change out that one piece for a 2040 instead of a 2020, and then cut out the little bit of extra so it looks like this. So this bottom section of the rail here, cut that out so that you can see inside where the nozzle is.
So part of it's coped out so you can see what's going on at the bed surface while you're
right now you have your rail like this, but that's exactly where you need to look to see the first layer.
Right.
You can't move it up because then it can't bolt down.
Uh-huh.
All right. So instead put a 2040 there and then cut out the bottom half of it.
So Chris, there's another way about that.
Mm-hmm.
What a couple of guys have done, and I'm looking at doing with mine, and we can talk to engineering about it, is they're actually just lowering the rail on the front side down enough to be able to see the bed. Because it doesn't have to be all the way at the top.
Oh, okay. If you could do that, just put 2 new holes.
Or down like 50 millimeters so it's not blocking that point, and it'd be fine. So I think that might be doable. We'll have to experiment with that a little bit, but I think it's plausible.
It's just that first 20 millimeters because that's where you got to look.
So being a machinist, I can do it with paper to right where I want it every time, but not everybody can do that. So I understand the need to be able to see the bed.
Leveling is not a problem because you level if you level my way with a large circle. The problem is when I tell the printer, okay, make something for me, and now I just want to look real quick and see, is it working?
Right. Did you grab the right G code?
Huh? Yeah, and just make sure it's sticking. Just make sure it's sticking to the bed. It's really hard to tell, and you got to get a flashlight out to get light in there. And
yeah. So I'm pretty sure, I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's not very hard to lower that down.
Wow.
It might involve minor cutting.
Sean Butler and a couple other people said they would love to see a 500 by 500 by 500 Ender 5
cube.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, any cube that would be awesome. Now, I love how big. I love this one, but I can't. I mean, that'd be huge.
It'd be big.
That's a lot of real estate to give up.
Yeah, this is already about 2 feet cubed.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a tape measure and you're watching out there,
24 inches square.
Yeah, measure 2 feet on your table, and then imagine how big that is. It's huge.
It's big.
Yeah, I just got in the motherboard so I can get the CR10S Pro Max going again, but man, that is a beast for size, and it's 460, 500.
No, this was designed by was it Inspire 3D? I believe. I believe it was Inspire 3D. He's the one who made this.
Nice. Somebody asked me a question for a couple times, and I got to go back and find it. So they asked me about grounding the hot end. Let's see here. Here we go. Is there a way to ground your hot end on a 3D printer? I was cleaning filament away from the hot end. It has killed the main board. Um,
Ow.
were you using like a metal wire brush or something? Because
I've heard of a couple cases, especially when one of the YouTubers decided to use a brass brush to clean the nozzle off, and the wire catches both legs of the heater and shorts out, or in the heater and the thermocouple, either way.
Oh, short
Trying to
between the
remember.
heater and the thermistor. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone created a wipe command for the Ender 3. And if you're looking at the machine on the right side, what they did was they put a piece and a wire brush there. So I believe they were trying to do it with dual extruders, if I remember right, or something like that. Anyways, it would go over and run across that and then back and wipe it, The problem with it, like Luke said, is that it was a metal wire brush, and people were starting to do that and then shorting out their stuff.
Yeah, if you got a decently stiff nylon brush, you could probably pull it off, but I wouldn't with anything metallic.
I think people did that because there is a couple manufacturers that have a brush wipe built into their printer, and they use metal.
Yeah, the thing with theirs, though, is they intentionally make the bristles so short they can't get up to that area. And if you go to Harbor Freight and buy the ones that have like 10 or 11 millimeters of bristle, that's not the same thing, and that's where the problem lies.
Right.
So, not saying you guys can't do that, but be very careful if you do, because then you're looking at zapping your motherboard when you take out the short or incur short.
Right.
The person who mentioned about the Y movement on the S5 with a large print, that's why you have to slow down with a printer that size. So you want to lower your jerk, you want to lower your acceleration, and you want to max out your print speed at like 40 millimeters per second.
William, I'm not sure what you mean by this. Do any printers allow for loading G-code off of a USB flash drive? Seems like it'd be easier than using an SD card.
Yes.
There are printers that use USB flash drive.
The resin printers are on USB instead of on SD.
And you can get an adapter, right, Chris? I believe for the flash cards to a USB.
No, you can't.
Can't.
That's a different architecture. You can go flash to USB, but not USB to flash. It's one way because there's a host slave relationship there. Now, some manufacturers do that. The MKS boards are capable of accepting USB inputs. So the Two Trees printers, Sapphire S use USB. The artillery, they use a USB drive. But that would require a change on the board. Your Creality printer doesn't come with a USB port. You can't add one.
Yeah. And here's me. I really am not that off-put to have to put a card in the machine. I know what's on the card when I stick it in there, and I don't have very many problems. I do use an extender so I don't wear out the port on the card or on the machine. But other than that,
Prusa Mini is USB. Mike, I'm supporting Mike. Never let the machines win tonight.
All right.
He's right here.
Yeah.
Chief, it's because Thingiverse is slow. We'll just say slow. That's a good word for it.
I do like that we're starting to switch to full-size SD cards, though, because they're more durable. They're harder to lose.
Yeah. I use a mini to full adapter when I do the extensions. So then all of mine are in full size because I got on Marketplace and I got me a bucket of SD cards now. So
nice.
Grab one and go,
I just scored 24 gigabyte SD cards for $40.
Sweet.
Nice.
I ended up with that one book purchase I got. Now there was a couple of them that were so small they were like 32 kilobytes. A couple of them, but anyhow, but all told, I got 62 of them for $1. So I thought it was a pretty good deal.
Nice.
Mike Lindsay, yes, I can shoot a link out there. It is I did do a video on it, and in my video it also links to Luke's help guide is where I got the whole idea for the video because he's the man that came up with it. He could tell you a little bit about the fix, and then while he's doing that, I'll get the link for you.
All right. Sorry, I was lagged out a little bit. Yeah, it was me. So there is only one original hot end fix. That's how it's named on Thingiverse. If you want to find the original one, it will be authored by me as Onebadmarine. That's how you can tell it's the original. There is a couple people that have done variants, and they're actually good variants, right? One of them is putting in a little pocket so that the top end of your tubing is caught by the spacer, because they were having trouble with curled tubing sort of deflecting inside or whatever. And they'll have their merit. All of my work was trying to make it as simple as possible so that it was easy to execute if you're having struggles with your printer to get there, right? So mine works, and there's variants that work as good or maybe even a little bit better. But yeah. So
I just shot out a link. I'm hoping it goes out across all of the streams. I think I'm a mod. Pretty sure I'm an admin on Chris's stream, so it should pop on mine. And then it actually might show up as Creality posted it on Facebook because we're using their Facebook. But let's see. Ben will answer it later. Okay, cool.
Yeah, maybe now. So yeah, about this, I think we have so many customers asking from the last year already, or maybe the 2018 something, and yeah. So yeah, I think maybe recently, like we released the CR-X Pro or CR10S Pro V2. Sorry, these names. Some people even confuse them with names. But anyways, for the upgrade parts, yeah, we feedback to the company that if the customers already buy the CR10S Pro or CR10X, how do they upgrade the motherboard, the firmware? Yeah, but I think it takes time. But we will see if we could also release this kit separately for all customers to upgrade, if I understand it right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so if I can add on to that, if I don't lag out too bad, they are obviously looking at the 32-bit boards as for manufacture, because it's actually getting more expensive to purchase the 8-bit chips because they're not at the leading edge of technology. But they want to do it right, not throw something out there to make it stick to the wall, right? So be patient, because they want to do this the right way. And hopefully their first iteration 32-bit boards will be of good quality.
When they release a new printer, it's not a couple of hundred sold; it's a couple of 100,000 sold. So it needs to be right.
I'm actually working on doing a video project for their anniversary that's coming up, and I put in a request to the sales department to get the actual numbers, and they wouldn't even give me the numbers because that's too hard to keep up with.
And I got to attest to upgrades. My Ender 5 Plus here, I have a video out there. It's called turning my Ender 5 Plus into an Ender 5 Plus Pro. So Chris and I had talked about that over here many times about calling it the Ender 5 Plus Pro, right? And what we did was we added the silent board. Ben graciously sent me a silent board when they first came out. We added the Capricorn tubing, and we added the better couplers. And then we also added that metal extruder, and that is what they do on a lot of their pro models, right? You get the silent board, the Capricorn tubing, and the metal extruder. So you can do that on the Ender 5 Plus, and it is, I'm telling you what, the fans are super loud now. So I just put a video out on replacing the case fan like a day ago or 2 days ago, and that almost dropped it 10 decibels just replacing the case fan.
You're probably into the low to mid 40 decibel at that point, right?
No, lower. I believe it was. I have to go back and look. I have to go back.
It's hard to get back to 32-ish with decent fans, in my experience. But.
Yeah, I can't remember. You're probably right around there. But I use the TH3D fan. I really like their fans, and it just one fan right in the bottom of this case right here. And it dropped it that much, and it's not sitting on rubber, it's not doing anything. I left everything the same. Now the next one's I'm gonna do a couple more upgrades to it, but what I want to do is actually do the hot end fans too, because sometimes those make a huge difference. And I'm not using Noctua, nothing. I just don't prefer those just because of the airflow, and there's a lot of, I don't want to start an argument there because there's a lot of back and forth on that, but These are full speed fans. They're just how they work is a little bit different with the bearings or not bearings or whatever, So
they are actually using sealed bearings instead of open bearings and some other things.
nice.
Yeah. So it is, in the end, it is about CFM. There is a certain cubic feet per minute or cubic meters a minute in metric. But if you don't have enough airflow in certain applications, it's going to jam you. And I had a little tiny tussle with the guy. He was like, look, I put all these quiet fans on my printer, and he was touting it in front of the group. And I didn't get after him really hard, but I was like, have you done any testing where you've gone for 7 or 8 days prints to show that it works before you tell everybody else about this? Because they get all excited and they're like, I want to do this. And I'm like, that's great, but till you can do a 10 or 12-day print and not have to worry about something going wrong, you haven't proved that that's a good mod, right? And I'm not the mod police, but when it comes to fan, I'm a little bit sensitive because I get people all the time. They come to me, Luke, I'm having problems. And it turns out they either put a Noctua fan on the hot end and it's not adequately cooling, or they did, they're trying to or quiet down their fan duct, and they went to the wrong style of fan system to make it work. And
Right.
then you got the 15s or 5010s, whatever they are. Those things don't last for more than 2 months from half the manufacturers, and there's all kinds of issues going on with people putting crap fans in, So needless to say, because I'm the guy that tries to keep things going smooth, I'm not a big fan of not proven fan technology.
Right.
Here's a bit of advice for fans if people want to make quieter printers. First things first. I've never used Noctua fans too much. I typically use noise blocker fans. I think they're pretty similar, although I think they put out a bit more CFM. They're the one fan you can't replace the parts cooling fan because you need to be able to control it and you need the maximum you can get. All the rest of the fans you can replace, but you have to use reason. If you live in a house that is continuously air conditioned, you can get away, and you have a PTFE lined hot end and you just make normal prints, you can replace all the fans in your printer with quiet fans and you're never going to really have a problem. But now stuff a 0.2 millimeter nozzle in there, start doing massive high retraction prints, and you might start getting heat creep even on a PTFE lined hot end if you don't have sufficient fan on that. If you live in a hot house that's not air conditioned, those fans become important. And the other big thing to do is that a lot of the times the fans are hugely overrated for what they're being used for, meaning they produce more CFM by 2 to 3 orders of magnitude than you actually need. The problem is where the fans are. I tripled the flow rate coming out of my CR10S Pro just by getting rid of the grill in front of the fan. The grill was so poorly designed, it was blocking half the air. My noise blocker ultra quiet fan now puts out more air out of that exhaust port than the stock fan did. And that's because I got rid of that grill that was blocking all that air. So use common sense and reason. If you're air conditioned, you're probably okay. If you're not air conditioned, be careful.
That's right.
So,
And,
yeah.
and I just want to say,
We don't want you modding your printers or whatever. Just understand that there's risks and things you need to take into account while you're doing
You,
this.
you assume those risks when you make the modification. Don't go crying to the manufacturer when you burn up your printer.
that's right. Yeah, everything we do in our videos, and I think that goes for all of us, is do at your own risk. Obviously, Creality does not want us or ask us to modify these, but we're makers, and that's what we do. So
Yeah.
just remember that if you do modifications and something breaks, don't contact Ben and say, "Hey, I need a new printer," because you broke it. And David Houghton, he just checked, and I just looked at my video too. I got it down to 46 to 48 decibels at the bottom, like right at the bottom of the printer where that fan is. So I think it was almost 10 dB, which is, I'll take it.
Skyrim asked if the STL for that Iron Man right there is available.
Oh, I'll check with our tech people. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Sherry, I'm not sure. Oh, you're on mine. Okay. I hope that it is fixed as well, Sherry. And I know that Ben and the crew are working hard to help everybody as much as they can. So hopefully, if you have any questions, just get a hold of one of us, reach out to Ben or Creality in general, and we'll help you out.
And do you know this? I've had several times recently. There is that Creality 3D shop. Even when they do their emails, they try and make it look like they are Creality, but they are not. And in the last 3 instances I've had where people said they had issues with Creality proper, they were dealing with Creality 3D shop, and it is not the same people. We have been trying to take action to make them sort of come in line, but
right,
that's a problem, and I don't know how to directly fix it. But do you understand that you may not be talking to them, especially unless you know for sure? Because even the one guy, he was like, "Oh, I bought it directly from Creality." Well, it did come out of Shenzhen, but that retailer is in Shenzhen. They used the Creality letterhead. They made it seem like they were Creality, but they were not.
Yeah, it's fraud.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they are quote unquote an authorized vendor, and they're at jeopardy of losing their vendor ticket if they don't get their stuff together. But it's a really hard relationship for them to deal with.
We did have a good question for Ben, and I'm just trying to find it so I can throw it up on the screen. It was off of Facebook. They said, will there be a solution to relocate the runout filament sensor on the CR10 V2 when using the Titan direct drive?
Oh.
So I'm assuming they... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's...
Go ahead, Ben.
I have one. I think I'm the only one here that has the direct drive set up with the V2 at the moment. So the way I handled it was I did a cable extension. I've talked to Creality about providing that with the newer kits when they come out. But basically, I did an extension wire to the sensor, and you can just put it right onto the filament as it enters the direct drive, and it'll write it. So it'll stay there until you run out of filament, then it'll fall down while it turns off for the sensor being tripped. When you load the new filament, you just put it through it, and it goes. I'm looking at doing a 3D printed mod to actually hold it in place sort of near the tensioning lever, but it will ride the filament without anything other than an extension cable until something better is available. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, the filament sensor doesn't have to be mounted.
If you want, I can take my computer over and show you on the computer or on the machine real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. And I think Ben was trying to talk to you, so jump on in, Ben.
Oh, okay. So, since I'm not tight guy, so so first thank you for Luke's I think solution, and since I'm not tight guy, so I could not offer any a solution now. But since the last time that I think Maker's Mills Angus makes a video about it, so we do our R&D have a very very full review of whole video, and we just improve it. In for the later product, so from every I think problems that Angus mentioned, so also I think include this. So and also we're working closely with E3D, so to make sure this is figured out. Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks,
Lamb
Ben.
Dizzy, the extension cable is custom made by Luke. It's not an available product yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, my internet's in and out, but I had some cable that's for a stepper driver and JST connection makers, and I made my own. I'm pretty sure if you find the right end connectors, you could probably get a pre-made one. Just look at where it's coming off of the original mount and into the other one, and you could probably get a prefab cable. I just don't know where to point you on Amazon to find it.
Got it. Let's see. We got a good one here. Chief says, I'm new to 3D printing. I bought a Dremel. I'm happy to find you all you 3D pros. The big lady 3D print is Bay. I'm not sure what that means, but welcome to 3D printing and hi.
I think he means badass.
Oh, I have no idea. But welcome.
Abraham has a question on how long the printers are tested before they're released. We'll see if Ben wants to take that one on or not.
Oh, So I do not have the I think exact days or something like that, but I think we at least I think 100 of hours before it released. I think for a finished product, I do working on the assembly line. I think should be last month since we short of people workers from other province. So I work in here, and we have at least as far as I can, I work there and see that at least 100 hours that before it put into the box. Yes, we will do the final test. Yeah.
And Philip, I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. Oops. But Philip says we put the 1-year-old to sleep during the stream. You're officially my heroes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but
All right. And then, so the other thing that he needs to know that Ben left out on the testing is, generally speaking, as they're getting closer to a production version, people like myself, Nerys, sometimes Jim, and other people, we get what they call beta units, and we put them through the paces to catch the stuff that they might not get in the lab. And then there's also the test of the market, right? They are no fault of their own, but they are not going to design it to perfectly couple with Octoprint and all these other secondary products that are out there, because not everybody are using them. So it is not their place to do that. And some of it comes together better than others, but you need to understand that will never be a core goal for them. We're working on quality of operation, quality of parts, quality of assembly, that type of stuff. The other stuff is, you're sort of on your own for.
And there's just too many third-party things out there to design it to be compatible with everything. You can't do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think in behalf of company, I think yes, we do receive feedback that for the whole creative, we maybe too I think release kind of many product out there in a short period. So yes, people. Yeah, you always say that maybe take more time for some few product makes it great, but not many products. But it's not that great. It's good use for sure, but it's not that. So we do feedback this to the company. Yes, it's the issue. I think we have in common because I think we have this is 6 years. Company goes big and they have this. Yes, they maybe. I don't know, not late, but us. Yes, go back to the beginning that we built the product, the most important. Not sometimes maybe looking to the price range or some or the competitors as a goal to beat, not the customer as the first priority their needs. So, but anyway, we do have this issue, and we are kind of working on that to kind of push, but also slow down for the whole product development to make sure it's now released and then have so many. Yes, we'll have upgrades later for itself, but I think push hard to make it less for you to later to fix or upgrades. Yeah.
Right.
A Syntax asked about setting a printer aside for a week and having flat spots on the wheels. You can let the printer sit for a year and you should not have flat spots on the wheels. If you have flat spots on your wheels, that's because your wheels are too tight.
Yeah. So yeah, I was going to say it's basically the same thing. There is now, if you're okay with how tight your wheels are, but you notice that they're sort of thumpy when you come back from a week's work, just start it running for a little while with something you don't care about and let it just run, because the wheels will come back to shape. A lot of people assume that once those wheels are misshapen, they're done. No, those things will go back to shape over a matter of like an hour or so. They just have to get exercise. But that being said, I'm with Chris. If you follow his guidance or what's in my guide or what Jim has put on the Edge of Tech for the eccentric wheel adjustment, it should never have enough pressure that it's developing flat spots from sitting either overnight or for a week or for a month.
Tim asks, is every printer tested prior to shipping? Creality shipped 500,000 Ender 3s in the first 2 weeks they made them. You do the math on how much time it would take to test all those. No, they're not. They can't. There's no feasible possible way to test everything.
Now that Ben's on, this is a good question to ask. I'm assuming you guys test some of them, because I've received some of them that actually had some filament in the hot end. So I'm assuming that maybe they're randomly tested, or
the hot end is, but not the whole printer.
Oh, okay, got it. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I think since I'm not I'm mainly for sales, so I do have a little bit time in factories. They check it, but as Chris said, yes, I think not 100%, not every part checking. So, but yes, because of the lack of the shortage of the worker, but we try to test like hardens, the must test, and other parts, but not But we're trying to. Yeah, and some yes, you may find some is have maybe in some part is I'd say it's maybe broken when you open the box. Yes, it happens, and some or they not aligned or yes a screw tight. But, we do have few of them that yes.
So, and here's a really good question from Matt. Right now, if we are ordering a printer from a website, should we get it from China or the U.S.? And he said, I guess that depends on where you're shipping in the world. That is 100% true right now because of everything going on. You never know if anything's going to get sent anywhere right now because I think a lot of places are kind of shutting that down. But I'd order them from whatever country is closest to yours. What do you think, Ben?
Thank you for this question. So first we will make sure the real stock is real also in the website because some like I think you as a customer you all buying stuff a lot, so sometimes you're buying it but actually the real stock is not. So we first make sure that what you can buy is really have stock. So this first thing, and then I think we do have really shortage for all products and especially for parts. In some parts factory even not open yet. So but so it's I think we have few overseas stocks but it's really short, and I think most we are sending from China, but recently the whole supply I think its price chain is gradually shut down. They start with this small thing, but now it's going to like I don't know. I heard this is we have like something like 15 kilogram. Maybe when we will be restricted, so it's really hard for us. But we will see how we figured. But as Jim said, it depends on the yes.
All right, so I have bandwidth for a second, and I see a question that I think I can answer. So we got little DV166. He's asking about a printer that the LCD shuts off a few minutes into the print, and then it eventually fails. That is very indicative of the control card and your dial controller being bad.
What was that?
Cat?
My son is selling one of those plastic BB guns, and about 500 BBs just hit the floor and went everywhere.
That's gonna be fun.
I think that's going to be worse to pick up than that bucket of screws you were picking up earlier.
Of other stuff, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can use a vacuum for the BBs.
So my internet came back. I keep getting these lags, but anyhow. But the core thing to know here is contact your seller. You get 1 year electronics on your printer, so you can get it replaced under warranty.
Nice.
Sorry about the distraction. I don't know if you saw the look on my face earlier, but I have rods on the ceiling above me. The cat was trying to decide if she was going to go across them, and I'm worried about her falling on my head.
That'd be great.
Thomas says that sounded expensive.
It's like $3 worth of BBs, but it's going to take me like 45 minutes to clean them all up.
There's a lot of puns going on right now. It was actually BBs, not
Exciting
screws
times.
this time. So
Yeah.
nice. So let's see here. There's just a lot of comments about all the noise now, which is awesome. Hey, you know what? I don't know. I hate to admit how many times I've reached for my little tray of all my screws and nuts or something, and I accidentally grabbed the latch that opens it, and when I lift it up, it just everywhere, and it's like, oh god, so that happens.
No, this was printed on either I don't remember if this was on the CR10V2 or the Anycubic Chiron, but it was a 1 millimeter or 1.2 millimeter nozzle.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta love my I love my CR10 V2. It is, you can actually see it right here in this case in my cabinet here, but that's been a great little printer. And it's not even a little printer, I shouldn't say little, but you know what I mean. It's been a great printer.
My extruder just died today. I got to figure out if it's the stepper or the driver.
Maybe it's the stepper driver.
Ooh. Be careful driving that stepper.
Right. A lot of
Radioactive's asking about a CR Pro over the Ender 3 Pro. What's a CR4 Pro?
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
Must have been a type. If it's a CR5 Pro, then get the CR5.
Sorry, I don't know this either.
I don't. Where is this? I didn't see it.
I think he missed the key. He was going for a 4 or 5, and he hit a 4. So if it's the CR5 Pro, get the CR5 Pro. It's an awesome printer. My #1 recommendation for a starter printer, unless you
What's
can
the CR5 Pro?
Yeah, what's this? You mean the Ender 5 Pro
or Ender 5 Pro?
Yeah,
sorry,
Ender 5 Pro is awesome.
A little known fact. I was the first person to. I don't know if I was the first person to have one, but I was the first person to put it out there and do a video on one, and then no one, like, I put the video up. We did a live stream, and I got comments and chats and emails saying, "This isn't a real printer. What are you doing?" I was like, "It is. I promise. Just wait. You'll see." But the guys over the people over at Lux and Watts, they shipped it to me early, and I really appreciate that. And I believe they're a Creality reseller, right? And I believe that was their deal. But it was funny because I in the title I had to say, like, it's real, because no one believed. I think I talked to Chris and he's like, that doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
There was one other person that had one, but it was me, and I wasn't putting it out publicly, so they didn't know. But yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chief. There we go. I'm not sure what channel that's on, but awesome. Oh, nice. Congrats. That's awesome.
All right. Excellent. So yeah, support the people that are helping you out for sure. I'm not money grubbing or anything, but if people are helping you and it saves you time and energy, compliment a little bit. I do it occasionally myself.
We are the equivalent of PBS. We are supported by you, our viewing audience.
Pretty much. I even thrown some money to Marlin Project because people don't realize. I mean, well, for me, it's even more so, right? Because I have multiple printers. But there's a lot of work that goes into the Marlin Project, and some of the manufacturers are helping out with that, but it's not all covered by them. They have a lot of people working on it, and if we don't, as a community, don't support it, they're going to lose interest in it, and then we're going to have to start over, and I don't want to see that.
I think they're doing it. They do a great job over there. Those guys are great, and I should have worn my bright red Marlin shirt. And I'll do that next time. I wanted to support Mike and be real bright. And actually, the orange was really for Chris here, but I don't know if he caught on to that yet. But he's a big orange guy.
He's got orange too.
Yep.
I got a Marlin 2.0 shirt that I should have worn, but I'd have to change my stuff around or whatever. So.
We'll get him. I was going Caterpillar today.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. Mike Lindsay, thank you so much for helping out the 3D printer Discord. I know that's a big Discord channel too. And just like all of us here, we all like to help the community. That's why we do what we do, and that's why I started my channel. That's why Chris does all the videos he does, and of course Luke spends more hours than I work probably in a week supporting people on Facebook and private chat and all that. So thank you everybody who's helping out in the chats and being nice about it, because there's a lot of new people, and it's really easy to say, hey, go search for that. It's a lot harder to type the right answer.
I catch a little bit of it because people see that are there more often, see my stuff repetitively. They're like, I'm tired of hearing about it. And I'm like, well, as long as we got people that still need to hear about it, it's going to be there. I'm sorry that it bothers you, but
right.
And one of the things, I'm not looking to be challenged or whatever, but of all my work, I've never had a lot of people come to me and say, Luke, you give me information that didn't work right to get my problem resolved, if that was what the problem was. Because if it was, I'd change it, right? I'm not out to sabotage people. Some of my teachings don't fall exactly in line with other people's stuff. So take that for what it's worth. But
right,
I can take it to dozens of people that are putting out these prints that people drool over, and they basically my guidance through setting the machines up to get there. So.
There's
and
multiple paths to the same end result. That doesn't mean any one of them is wrong.
Exactly, and not only that, but always, I think what happened, especially in our community, and when I go look for something, right, I want to redo my garage. I go look at 2 to 3 to 4 videos, whatever I'm going to do, and I look at different people's videos because I definitely have a different perspective than Chris does, and Chris explains stuff differently than I do, and maybe I'll understand that better, or maybe he has one way of doing it and I have a different way. So I always say, there's a lot of people out there doing this. There's Luke's stuff. There's, like Luke said, there's people out there that believe in their own, whatever it is, go out and search out multiple different people that you're looking for the same thing on and watch their videos, because you may take a piece from mine and a piece from Chris's and a piece from Luke's and put them all together, and that's what you use. And I think, that way you're not getting everything from one person all the time. You're kind of getting that collaborative. So I hope I said that okay. I see Ben.
Just remember, if you disagree with me, I'll eat you.
This is true.
So, to give you an idea how bad it gets for me, like especially if somebody finds a chink in my armor, so to speak, right? So a guy puts up, he used my hot and fix, he lost a print at like 8 hours in, and it failed, right? And so he's blaming me for his part failing. Once we get the truth out of him, he broke a blade off of his fan and setup for that print and broke the other one off to balance it and then set it to work, and then it overheated and then it failed. And I'm getting crucified because my hot and fix killed his part. I'm like, holy cow, it was not my doing.
Well, that's why we always say
anything, it probably kept it from failing earlier.
Right. Here, David Houghton says there's more than one way to skin Chris's cats. I hope not.
My cats bite and scratch, so be careful.
Yeah.
Murder machines in training.
Old curmudgeon, he says it took Jim, Chris, Teaching Tech, and others to get me to get my MKS online. So, like we were talking about, watch multiple videos from different people. You'll get great perspective. Everybody does their stuff a little bit different. Sometimes we cross streams. Like maybe I did an Ender 5 Plus and Chris from Kersey Fabrications did his Ender 5 Plus in the same week, or we kind of like mix like that once in a while. But the funny thing is we don't talk; it just happens, and it happens. But I tell you, we all try to do the best we can to help and show you what we're doing, and I think Creality, we really appreciate the Creality printers. These guys are awesome. They do put out upgrade parts. So check out their online store, and you can check that out at crealityofficial.com, because they do offer, metal extruders. They offer parts for their printers, and that's something that you can check out right from their store too. And if you want to get the stuff straight from wait, how do you say that? Straight from the place it came from, I guess.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
There you go.
My apologies for being out of sync with the thing, but my internet dropped there for a minute.
Oh, nice.
So I got another edit to my guide coming out. I'm going to have more advanced alignment guides for the Ender 5 series, both types.
Nice.
So the down and dirty on it is basically I'm making sure the frame is square. You're aligning one guide rail to the frame, and then you do the up-down procedure that's already in the manual to align the two rods to each other. So you can take that if you've already got the machines. If you're skookum to what I'm talking about, you can do it on your own. But that'll be out in the next edition, along with a few other minor things.
It sounds like I have some stuff to film.
That's the reason my number one suggested first printer or even second printer is the Ender 5. Because of the box structure, it's almost impossible to put it together wrong. Even if pieces are crooked, as you tighten it, it will align itself. So it's a very ideal
Basically,
printer.
what I'm finding is occasionally people are pigeon toeing or making a parallelogram out of their guide rods on the Z. Right. And this is just an exercise to make sure that they're as aligned as perfect as possible.
So when I was just talking, I mentioned checking out Chris Chris's videos over at Kirsty Fabrications. And I mentioned that once in a while we cross streams, we put out videos on the same printer or sometimes the same thing. And it was hilarious because literally, I think right after I said that, he popped in and said hi. So he's in the stream. Hey, Chris, how you doing? He has a new one coming tomorrow. Awesome. He does just a great job on the Ender 5 Plus series. And another great person in the community. If you want to get some really good information, he does an awesome.
I've never heard of him. You got a link to his channel?
Yeah. Let me do that. Give me 1 second.
I lagged out. So who are we talking about?
Kirsty Fabrications.
Yeah, Chris over at Kirsty.
And I haven't personally talked to him, but since you're watching, Ben and I would like to do a live stream with you at some point. So if you want, reach out to me on Facebook Messenger or whatever, and we'll get that set up.
Nice.
You were
There
actually
you go.
on the list of people to try and contact this week, but the first ones were early repliers, so you were on the list for the next go around, and not for any other reason, just than a show put together.
Nice. There you go. I just threw out Chris's. Let's see. There we go. I just threw out Chris's link, so we should be good. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm not subscribed, so you're new to me.
Nice. And Chris said, there we go. Ben and I have it scheduled. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a good question. This is from Abraham Quintana asking Creality Ben. I'm curious too. China makes a shit ton of 3D printers, but are they popular with Chinese people?
Oh, I really allowed to answer these questions.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
He's allowed to do that.
No, that's totally fair.
Yeah. So I think it's opposite. Yeah, it's opposite. So
Okay.
from my personal because I think it's really good for me to answer because I'm not a guy like you, so I will know the normal people feel about this. So yeah, I think why I just entered this company or this industry is that I have a friend who's in the manufacturing industry. They do the sofas, so they need to design the prototype first. And then the 3D printer is the easiest way to print a model to check it. So that's why I first know it. And then later I just trying to reach to everyone that I think in our mind, the 3D printer is a machine, not a toy. So for most people, yeah. So I just joke that I will send them for free and give them money. They will be not wanted because in their mind they think this is a machine. Yes, it's
Right.
You need to learn this, learn that, and yes. So Chinese manufacturing, I think ability is really strong. So they prefer to maybe buy something like 99 RMB with free shipping. But yeah, I know the party is enjoying the making this process for this, but. I don't know. Maybe we yes, and we also as TV culture, we just I think there's a learning culture that is we're doing exams all day for most of these young people, and they just there are few people in the other I think engineering stuff related career they will just maybe use, but for most people they just doing all the exam. Our ability to build. To make, I think it's still yes, there should be better than before, but still many people just learn this stuff and maybe I think make money or something. But in art history or any other interest, but they just lack of this from the very beginning. I think you just build something stuff with your child. Yes, we do have this, but this is still very little. So this 3D printer in our country is still for I think most time for the people who design stuff or in the college. Or in this, yes, that all. But for normal people, I just almost never see a 3D printer in any friends or families, relatives' home.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to
well said.
Tell on Ben a little bit in that he and I have talked about him having a printer at his home, and his wife doesn't have space for one, and that is a very real thing, right? You know, we live in houses that are huge. We have areas to put printers, but when space is at a premium, you know, you're giving up a lot of real estate to have a printer.
Right.
I am egging him to try and find one of the Ender 2s that's kicking around the factory somewhere, because he should be able to put that in a closet somewhere.
Right. And a couple of things. It looks like Tripod's Garage says, I'm the only one out of my friends that has a 3D printer. I have one other. No, I lied. I have I know 4 people that have 3D printers, but that's out of a whole lot of people. So that's cool. Also, Dan says, at the Edge of Tech, please let Ben know I'm glad that their machines have helped me get into a hobby I love. And I got to say, I've said this on my channel several times. For me, the Ender 3 started it all for me. I was lucky to start at the Ender 3. It was a very good machine. And not only that, but it's a gateway printer. It really got you into the printing. It got you going, and then it got you hooked. And out here, we're like, oh, look what I can build. All of a sudden, you're building everything you can find, and you're printing pieces for bird feeders, and you're printing like all my electrical outlets that I didn't put on yet, but I printed almost all of them. But I mean, you get hooked.
Hot water heater wrench.
Yeah, there you go. And then once you get hooked, it's like, all right, I either need another Ender 3 or I need an Ender 5. I need an Ender 5 Plus, and it just snowballs from there. And I have to say the same thing. I echo that. Thank you to 3D printing in general and in Creality for the Ender 3, because that brought me into this world, which hooked me up with Luke, which then hooked me up with Chris. So it was just like this big snowball that brought a lot of people together.
Yeah.
And I think one thing is similar, maybe, is that we need to ask our wife. So
yeah,
anyway.
For sure. So while I got bandwidth, it seems like I'm connected at the moment. There was a couple of people mentioned that they were having trouble coming up with stuff to print. I highly recommend, if you can do it. There are several organizations that do 3D printed prosthetics for kids in third world countries.
E-hands.
To get where to find those, and if you got time on your printer, do that. I feel bad that I don't do more of it, but I've been investigating it so I can do more. And as I can, I'm my plan is to do more, right? And with this time I've got off now, I might be able to do a little bit more. And we talked about not talking about the current epidemic going on. At points, there may become an opportunity to do something like that. We're not going to go into it in detail here, but if something organized comes out of the medical community with a call for 3D printed stuff, be sure that we will let you know and get you the information so that you can help out with that. But for right now, that isn't firmed in place. So look to either myself or either any of these guys later on if we actually have a organized effort, that we will be participating in that for sure.
And also remember, 3D printers are tools. They're not life. If you have nothing to 3D print, don't print. I mean, do you use your drill press every day? Do you use your oven every day? It's a tool. When it's appropriate, use the tool. I mean, sometimes people say, I'll go to the dollar store and buy something. People say, why don't you 3D print it? I was like, because it's cheaper at the dollar store. I was like, I use 3D printing where it makes sense to use 3D printing, and where it doesn't make sense, I don't.
Right.
No big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So because I'm known in my community or my group of friends, everybody has their circle of friends, right? So I'm known as the 3D printing guys. So I catch a little bit of stuff that's incidental where people are like, hey, can you make that for me? Or, that type of stuff for people that don't have the commitment to buy a machine. That being said, I don't know how many people within my friend circle total, but we're probably well over 25 people that I know have bought them because they've seen what I do with them. So not that I get any commissions or anything, but it's just sort of neat seeing their spark when they come to me and say, hey, look what I did with what you got me into, right? So that's edifying for me, or gratifying, however you want to call it.
Oops. Let's see here. Here we go. Inventor Square has a great comment here. It's a hobby that kind of changes your life through the way it changes the way you think about the world, and it gives you interesting people to meet, etc. And I totally agree. And I tell you what, almost everybody I've met in the 3D printing, in the maker community, really, but in the 3D printing community, is amazing. The people are awesome. We had the pleasure of hanging out at IRF this past year, and Luke was there, and Chris was there. And, we wish Ben could have been there, but I know he couldn't get there, and we did a dinner after Saturday night. I believe it was Saturday night. We did a dinner with like 15 to 20 people. And we sat outside of a restaurant in an area that wasn't really open, but they opened it for us because we had such a big group, and they did a phenomenal job. But it was really cool to get to know everybody and talk, and it's all like-minded people. So that's one of the best parts.
Yeah, and I was lagging out there a little bit, but so for those that are just new into the hobby, there's that honeymoon period, and during that honeymoon period, everything that you come across that's manufactured, you're mentally visualizing, can I make that on my printer?
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of fun.
Not only that, but big stuff too. Right. You're like, I could probably print that.
Yeah. Not everybody has a CR10S Pro Max like I can and do. Like I did a friend's cosplay body armor and Pet G in one piece, the full breastplate. Right? That was a fun print. I did it during the beta testing for the Max, but
yeah.
You know.
Well, and look right over
over
Chris's shoulder. There's a full size model, like literally full size model right there.
With the hands in the air, it's over 6 feet tall. I did that in 4 pieces. Well, the body's 4 pieces.
Nice. Well, and I want to say while we're on here, I could 3D print that. Kirsty Fabrications has bumper stickers that says that. It says I could 3D print. Actually.
That's good. I like that.
I have it right over here. I'm gonna have to grab it so I can show you guys. But
nobody told me about this. I feel totally left out.
What's that? Oh, the bumper sticker.
I did one.
I'm gonna get mine. Hang on.
All right. Yeah, I would put that on. My vehicles don't get very many bumper stickers, but that would definitely be worthy of putting on my truck. Oh, fan, you're killing me. So Abraham was at IRF. So maybe I've crossed paths with you there. I don't know. I've met a couple people at IRF I wasn't expecting to. Even ran into a couple people that knew who I was from Europe. That was interesting because I didn't know that I'd really had that much influence over there. Yeah, Kersey, I'll hit you up. I'll give you some money for them or whatever, but yeah, I definitely either need magnets or bumper stickers that say that because that's a good sticker. But, yeah. So this is going good. We lost our host. That's always
he's looking for the bumper sticker.
Yeah, he's looking for the bumper sticker. We got him away. Now we can be malicious while he's not monitoring to edit, right?
Yeah.
Three good printers for making gigantic prints like this. You have the Creality Ender 5 Plus, you have the Anycubic Chiron, and if you really want to go big, you have the Creality S5. That's 500 millimeters cubed.
That is a huge printer. I was listening. I was running around, and if you saw me running around, you see him in shorts, and you probably can't see the flip-flops or the sandals I'm wearing because my garage is heated, but I realized I'm like looking all over for Chris's bumper sticker. Right here, there's can you guys hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. There's an organizer with all these drawers in it.
Mm-hmm.
I realized I put it right on the side of that organizer. I'm like looking for it. Where did I put that? Oh yeah, that's right. I actually stuck it on something.
Yeah, we won't make you drag it out, but
it's awesome.
Kersey's
got magnets too,
so I'm happy.
Well, to give you an idea, it's not exactly slow as people think. If you were to slice this model with a 2.4 millimeter wall and print it hollow with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, it'd probably take you about 800 hours of printing. I did this in about 120 hours of printing. Because even though I'm only going 30 millimeters per second, I'm extruding 6 times the volume of plastic per millimeter of movement.
Right.
So ultimately, I'm going 3 times faster, even though my head's moving at half the speed. So 6 divided by 2, 3. So even though you're not going fast, your volumetric flow is huge.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
you gotta have a hot end to keep up with that. So
hey guys,
well,
real
that's
quick,
why you slow down.
I just realized that we're about 20 minutes over. I want to make sure you guys are still okay. Luke and Chris and Ben, I want to make sure time-wise we're still okay.
I'm good.
Yeah.
We're okay.
We're good to keep
All right,
going until
we'll
it
cruise for a
hits
little
the-
bit. So John Brooks says he had some questions about the S5, but can't get them answered. Go ahead and shoot us out those questions. We'll do the best we can to answer those for you right here. And we'll cruise. We'll see where we're at in about 10, 15 minutes. I know it's probably early for you guys, right? It's not too bad for me. It's only about 10:20.
It's only 8:20 here.
Yeah, 9:20.
So on the S5, I don't know what kind of questions he has. The biggest
Yeah, I'll wait for him to post. But
the biggest downfall of the S5 that I'm aware of is, as far as I know, it's a 12 volt and not a 24 volt. And
Yep.
it's a little slow on the bed heating. And, you know, honestly, I'd like to see Creality do it in a 24 volt. And
Yes.
if they pulled it off, so there's a safety factor for what I'm going to mention next. And this would need to be taken into account. But it's big enough to rate a line's voltage heater with the proper fusing and protections.
Or even better, just include dual power supplies. Have a
Or-
dedicated 24-volt power supply for the heat bed alone. That solves the AC problem.
3D.
So, but other than
I'm-
sort of slow heating or
Right.
and it's going to come with the stock not so great extruder, but those are pretty inexpensive to replace.
Nice.
Yeah, it's $15 on Amazon. It costs nothing.
Yeah.
If you're spending $700 on a printer, $15 to replace the feeder is nothing.
Yeah, it's just a little disheartening that in their mind that they're spending that much and having to replace it it should come with an aluminum one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
should come
I
with a
think
dual drive unit.
yeah, I think all of them should come with that new one with the dual drive. That would be awesome.
I would love
Yeah,
to see
these are
Creality
little-
just stop
these are
producing
the-
all feeders and only produce the dual drive unit. It's just fix the problem with it chewing itself and just
Yep.
make that the standard.
Yeah, or even go to the basic aluminum on all units and adjust the price accordingly, just for the end users, right? Because people, if they did that, and let's say the price went up even $10 on the base unit, gonna buy it because it costs $10 more, but it came with an extruder you don't have to replace, right? So
Right.
these are the types of things that we're trying to work with the company on to realize and implement.
When you start
there's
hitting
some
the
other stuff
$1,000 price point, $10 don't matter.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't, but
And
still a thing.
this guy is absolutely correct. It's the people that first get into this and maybe they're overwhelmed or they thought it was just plug and play. You put it together, or you get a box that was already ready and you have to put it together. Some people don't like that.
I call it the toaster effect. They expect
Yeah,
to pull a toaster out that just
exactly.
works.
I can actually give you a story on that. I bought my first Ender 2 for $199 this couple years ago, and it blew my mind. I mean, like, absolutely blew my freaking mind how good it was. So I bought a second Ender 2. And because I wanted to see, was this a fluke? Did I just get one lucky printer? No, the second one was just as good. I went to buy a third one, and he says, "Oh, it's out of stock." I was like, "When are you going to get more?" He's like, "We're not. We got too many returns, so we're not going to sell any more of them." And I got to thinking, I was like, "What are you doing with all the returns?" And about a week later, I negotiated to buy 9. Now, this is where the story gets interesting. I ended up getting 7 of them because 2 of them were lost somewhere in FBA. They were gone. So I bought 7 of them. And with the exception of 1, which was literally a USPS flat rate box filled with parts, which, by the way, worked fine, the other 6 were brand new, never assembled. And I can tell you exactly why. Because somebody watched TV and said, "Tea, Earl Grey, hot." And that's what they thought they were going to get. They were thinking Star Trek Replicator. And then they open up this box and realized they have to actually do something with this. They said, F no. And they hit that return button on Amazon. 3D printers are dumb, deaf, and blind. They can't see, they can't feel, they can't sense, they can't hear. A printer is not capable of putting filament on a print bed. That's not something a printer is capable of doing. But wait a minute, that's what the printer did. No, it didn't. The only thing a printer can do is turn fans on and off, turn heaters on and off, and move motors a specific number of steps you guide it to. So I want you to close your eyes right now, and then I want you to take your fingertip and put it on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen with your eyes closed. And if you hit the screen wrong, you break it. And if you miss the screen, your print fails. Okay, that's a 3D printer. A 3D printer just says, eyes closed, says, turn this motor X number of times, turn that motor X number of times, turn that motor X number of times. And it doesn't even know if the motor is actually doing anything because the belt could break and the printer would never know. So with 3D printing, you are the eyes, the ears, and the intelligence. That's why you have to level the bed and stuff like that, tighten the belts, align the wheels, because the printer doesn't know. G code is literally movement instructions. It doesn't even, the printer doesn't even understand move right 10 millimeters. It doesn't understand that. It understands turn this stepper motor X number of steps. And that's why you have to calibrate your steps per millimeter so that it, when you tell it 10 millimeters, the slicer actually says printer doesn't understand that. And it converts your 10 millimeters into a number of steps. And that's what your printer does.
And unless you want to spend
DIY.
Unless you want to spend $500,000, you're not going to get one that has basically what we have in the CNC machining realm, where they have linear encoders that actually can tell relative position all the time. That's not going to happen in this space, even in the next 10 years.
Right.
It's just not affordable. It costs too much.
No problem,
well, the costs
John.
Could come down fast, but it's not needed. This tech is good enough, so there's no incentive to invest the money to try to bring that tech down in price. Right. So there's just no need.
I definitely agree, and I don't know if we'll ever get to the point where it's like a quote toaster where you just throw it on your counter and go. But
we already have it.
Here's the thing: there's things like Luke's guide, like all of our videos and stuff like that will help you get to that point. And there might be some amazing printers out there that can do that, but in my opinion, for now, this time being, you're always going to have to tinker or adjust, like you said, because it's all based on us. So if my slicer settings aren't right, the printer's not going to react to what I did wrong. I mean, it's not going to print perfect if I don't print it perfect. And
then there's the other side of that. I get people all the time. They're in search for this perfect profile. And I'm like, you haven't done the basic kinematic stuff to make your printer work properly. And that's the other half. And
if your machine's not tuned,
a good printer is understanding you got to do the mechanical before you do the programming part.
Well, and it's like an Ender 3. If your X gantry is not level, which is one of the biggest problems with the Ender 3, right? It doesn't matter if you take my profile or you take Chris's profile, which is better than mine, or you take Luke's profile or Ben's profile. It's never going to work because the X gantry is not straight, and it can be the best profile in the world. But if your machine isn't set up to run it right, it's not going to run right. And I did want to say this: we have about 160 people watching over the a blanket of channels we're on right now, and I just wanted to thank you guys for taking your time out. And watching us four yahoos talk about 3D printing and have fun here with you guys. And hopefully whatever channel you're on, if you can shoot that like out there, hopefully you hit that subscribe button on all of us. But if there's anybody in the chat that you don't know, check out their channels too, because everybody out there is doing something really cool. And maybe they don't have a channel to show it. Maybe they do, but everybody has some really cool stuff to show. I just wanted to throw that out there.
And on top of that, consider it this way as well. It's like hiring the best F1 or rally car driver in the world. We're talking the best driver on the entire planet. And you put him in a car with no gas and a flat tire.
Yeah, or put him in a car.
It doesn't matter how good he is, okay? He's the profile. It doesn't matter. The car has to run right.
Steven's in the house. Hey, Steven. But yeah, I agree. And there's so much to learn, and that's why I started my channel, because I literally got my printer and I'm like, help, Luke. And then I said, Luke, do you mind if I start filming your stuff? Because I learned way better visually. And I honestly don't understand some of the stuff, the technical stuff that Luke talks about, because I didn't know what it was. So it's much easier if you go, this here, that there, and you point it out, because then you can say,
in a very real way, you're my interpreter, because some people need to see it on video instead of reading it.
Right. And I'm one of those people. And it's funny because people think that I'm you or you're me or vice versa. And then you get like nicknames like Nerdy Jesus or Nerdy J, but that's okay. But
Yeah.
Hooker bus, someone says. There you go.
And that's something else I don't understand too. Is this desire for profiles? And I have a profile for almost every printer I've ever used on my Google Drive. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a secret about those profiles. They're all the same.
What? Oh my god!
Profiles don't mean anything.
You told the secret.
Oh no!
Profiles are meaningless. Besides small little tweaks that are differences between printers. You know, for example, obviously I can't use an Ender 3 profile on an Ender 2 because it has a smaller build volume. But that's a physical constraint. That's not a profile difference. Okay, that's a hardware constraint. Profiles.
He said about us understanding how profiles make particular types of parts, because you and I both can go and look at a model, and we can go into a profile and
program a profile.
Right.
Well, see, that's the trick. The trick with 3D printing is understanding the physical kinematics of how the 3D printing process works. Not in your profile, but in your brain. So this is why I am able to give feedback to modelers on how to fix their models, because they know how to make a fantastic model, but they don't know how to make a fantastic 3D print, because there are limitations in the 3D printing process that aren't there in a model environment. Right. And you, as an end user, have to understand how a 3D printer works and the limitations. For example, you have to understand that this is impossible because you'd literally be printing in midair, and you can't because gravity would pull the filament down and it wouldn't go where you want it to go. You, as a modeler, have to understand that. My profiles don't change from printer to printer. They change from print to print. So the profile changes are defined by what I'm printing, how I'm printing it, and what I want that print to do, not by which printer I'm using or which film I'm using, besides the basic physical characteristics of it. So when I print something like this, I need to be strong. So it's going to have thick layers, lots of infill, lots of perimeters. When I print something like this, it's going to be vase mode for most of the print with tops and bottoms. It depends on what you're printing.
All right, so I was lagged out there for a little bit, but I think people got the gist of it, that the profile is the very end of the freight train as far as printing goes. It's the last thing. Right. And there are some modelers that do a lot better job of designing their prints to be 3D printed. I try and take that into account when I make my machine ads or whatever. I print them so that they'll print either without support or minimal support or whatever favors making it easiest for you to make that part, right?
Right. I had a question. Let's see. Nerys got a question. Oh, okay. This must be on Nerys' channel. Nerys got a question for Jim. Where is the Edge of Tech Discord? It does not exist currently. I don't have a Discord. I am on a couple Discord channels, just in the lurking, but I am really terrible with social media as far as trying to keep up. Ask the guys who are in my weight loss group for the Edge of Tech. I'm really bad at posting and keeping up, and I'm trying to get better at that. Hopefully this year we'll get one going. I know a couple people have offered to host one for me, and I appreciate that. I just feel bad if I can't keep up in a Discord, so I don't have one currently.
Yeah, and just so people know, I will never be on Discord. I tried it twice in different situations, and honestly, this is a personal thing, right? So like Jim alluded to, I spend the better part of probably 35 or 40 hours a week on Facebook helping people directly in the groups, and I just don't have time to keep up with the Discord, and they move so fast that
it's too much work.
So you won't see me in a Discord. If you want to find me, look for me on Facebook or PM me. I'm pretty good at responding to PMs as long as you're polite.
It's a real long one, but thanks, Don.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle Davis.
Good luck with that Voron.
Yeah. So I gotta do something because this is gonna be really funny. So you guys can keep talking, but I'm a little behind on the ball on this, but I was trying to post everybody's links.
Yeah. Now, Ben did a pretty good job of getting all of our channel links and stuff out there.
Yes, thank you, Ben. I was trying it too, and I didn't realize other people were posting them when I was.
Yeah, it's all right. Maybe I see something. I think you. I still when I just entered this company, Creality in I think in 2018, and I really meet some customers that they really first time buy the 3D printer, like you said, and they don't even know how to code the gantry. So, and I don't know either. So they just say, oh, this thing is can't aligned, and this thing is broken, and I want to return it. So at that time, it's really frustrating for me, and really frustrating for him. But think it's but that's the fun part that they just said, like Chris said, this thing is just a plug and play, but actually you have something to do. So yeah.
Now, if you want plug and play, we're actually pretty close to that right now today. The only problem is material limitations and cost. But we have virtual toasters of 3D printers already. It's called resin printing.
Mm-hmm.
Once you put your fingers on that plate and level it, you just pour resin in, you hit go, and it pretty much works 99 out of 100 times. There's a bit of cleanup, but the actual printing process is plug and play. And I think depending on if we can bring the photopolymer toxicity and costs and the material availability down, resin printing is probably going to replace FDM printing for most people, just because of that plug and play. It just goes.
Yeah, I think you're right, except for if you don't slice it right.
Yeah. Yeah, figuring out the supports on those things. So I'm just entering the resin realm or whatever, and I intentionally didn't try to go into the resin realm, but I got drug in. But I'm working now, right? But the part for me I don't like is just the chemical aspect. We set up a negative air pressure zone in my house to use it, but it scares the bejesus out of me that people are using it without a negative pressure air system in their house to discharge those fumes. I think people are going to get sick.
Actually, current study shows the VOCs from resin is not that bad.
Okay.
It's either the physical contact that's bad.
Yeah. I'm trying to get excited about it. And especially I don't know if you guys saw the leak, but it looks like there's an LD003 coming that has a lot bigger form factor than the two. and that actually caught my attention.
Hey, Ben, please talk with Creality about working on going toward black and white monochrome screens. The difference is night and day. You're talking triple print speeds, double layer thicknesses, and 4 to 5 times lifespan for the LCD itself.
Oh. I think I may heard it just a few days ago, but I do not know this tech stuff, but I will just feedback later. Yeah, I'll feedback later. Yeah.
We'll put that on our special stream.
There you go.
Our special feedback stream.
And here's a Chinese question I can actually answer for Stephen Lightspeed, because I've actually asked about this before and gotten the answer. In China, being able to speak English on a technical level, meaning engineering level, is an extremely valuable skill. So the problem that they run into is that if they can't afford to hire somebody who can speak the English because it's a very valued skill, and if they in-house train somebody to speak the language, the moment they are good enough at it, they get a better offer for a job somewhere else. So it's very difficult for Chinese companies to hire somebody or train somebody to speak English, because the moment they're good enough, they're gone, because it's just such a valuable trait to have over there. Basically, the only way they can do it is if like the owner learns enough English, because he's not going to run off and go get a job translating somewhere else. So it's very, very difficult for them to do that. It's not something they can easily solve.
Gotcha. Oh, so yeah, that's it.
Actually, one of the guys from Allottee explained this to me.
Ben's like, sign me up for this new job. Oh.
Yeah.
I think Steven just volunteered. He said Creality can hire some English speaker in the USA. They can afford it. So there you go. Contact Steven. Yeah. He'll hook you up. No.
All teasing aside or whatever, there is an effort. I've heard it from Ben and from other people within the company they're maturing as a company. They're getting ready to celebrate their 6th anniversary as a 3D printing company. And I look forward to bigger and better things as we go forward and improvements and incrementally in products and offerings.
And the comparison to Prusa is not really valid because, number one, Prusa is an English dual language country. So pretty much everybody there speaks English fluently. And number two, they're selling $800 to $1,000 printers, not $200 to $400 printers. So they got a little more budget.
Right. Steven said $150K a year. He'll do it.
I'm going to tell you, even with the printers, like I get it daily in the groups. How much do I have to spend to get a trouble-free printer? And I'm like, well, you better dig deep because I'm working on my Works Lulz bot that costs $6,000, $6,000 for an IDEX printer, right? It's not that much more advanced than a Creality printer, like the dual the V, whatever, the one that Cerex that I can't remember right now. But it is true IDEX. But anyhow, they're having all kinds of problems with it, and they're on the line with tech support. And, my intervention may be at some point be like, hey, maybe we just need to get off of the tech service thing and let me work it over so that it doesn't have the problems that it has. But they're not quite there yet. But
nice.
It is what it is. The cool part is I might actually get paid on my day job to go work on a printer for a little bit.
Yeah. There we go. Good night, Gary.
Yeah, so I'm not looking to close it out, but I think unless something comes up really hard that we have to talk about, we'll start winding it down sometime between now and the hour. We'll wrap it up.
I agree. I don't think that's going to happen, Chief. Chief said, any chance Nerys would dance with the lady 3D print with music for 1 minute and a $2 donation? No,
I suck at dancing.
Yeah, and we don't want to get copyright struck for the music.
Don't get Luke to karaoke. It's awful.
Yeah.
How do I build skills for upgrades, firmware updates, etc.? I need to make some changes to my X and Y axes, but I'm nervous to mess with my printer since it's printing cleanly. I'm looking for a few dimensional corrections. That is a tricky conversation because
we need the
printing good. Yeah.
We need to know if he's been through my guide and done all the kinematics alignment, or if that's what he's looking to go do.
Yeah, what is he looking to do?
Right, but the thing is, he says it's printing good, and that's hard because I can attest to this. Filming many of Luke's videos and now a bunch of my own stuff. Man, I'll get this Ender 5 right here printing just amazing, and then I'm like, I have to do a video and tear it apart and start over. so every time, all of my printers, and I've done videos on every single one of my printers. So anytime you do a mod or upgrade or anything, you're taking that chance, but it helps you learn to get back. It helps you learn because then you got to get back to where you were if it degrades your print. Most of the time you won't degrade your print, but turning your printer on its side, laying it on its back, all that stuff will definitely adjust, and then you got to readjust everything.
All right, so Rulon said he has not done it. So find it's TH3D is my help guide. Just start going through the chapters in that for your particular printer.
What printer too?
He didn't say, but
yeah.
My stuff pretty much applies across the board. You might have to ignore the fact that one has an extra Z drive route on or whatever, but it pretty much goes down the line. And I have actually split out. I have the dual Z thing done for the X gantry rework now. So there's that too.
Hey, Keyman, what do you mean by software?
Yeah, it's just kinematics tuning, and a lot of people don't realize how bad their kinematics are until they do the work, and then it's even better. I had a guy the other day. I could tell as he had the problem. So in my X gantry rework, we rotate to get the two halves to align to each other. And I told this guy, you need to do the X gantry rework. He's like, well, my X gantry is level within like a half a millimeter. I'm like, well, that's great. But if you read through that thing that I have you do, that process, there's more than just making it level. And that's the part you need to do. And it turned out that his gantries, or his vertical extrusions, were rotated, and that twisting force was making the wheels try and run out of the tracks, and that was causing his problem. But it's that minutia that people don't know that I'm trying to convey, and sometimes it's really hard, right? You know, they see the thing, and I tell them, "Hey, you need to do this," and they're like, "Well, why would I do that? I did Joe Blow's one, and it worked." And I'm not saying that mine's perfect, but sometimes there's stuff in there that's not in other places, you know,
right.
And there's a reason for it.
And that's also partially on Creality as well. That's something that Creality needs to try, if possible, to update so that does not become a problem. For example, some printer manufacturers will actually CNC a slot into the extrusion so that it can't twist. So that's just something they can maybe improve.
Right. And that's why I think all three of us will 100% recommend the Ender 5 Pro, the Ender 5 General, Ender 5 Pro, or Ender 5 Plus, because it takes a lot, not all
self-aligning,
a lot of that out of there. And the Ender 5 is, I have 3 of them down here. And I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Keyman,
I have two, and if my wife wouldn't have kicked my ass for getting it, I had a user return come up the other day. I almost bought a third one.
Oh no!
Just because I like having room.
Keyman had a question for Creality Ben, which I'm not sure how to ask, because he asks, will your software going to be ported to Linux? The only 2 pieces of software I'm aware of are Chi2Box for the slicer, which is not their software, and Cura, which is also not their software. So what software does Creality make that you want to see ported to Linux?
I saw the Linux question, and you know, nothing personal to the Linux guys, but if you're really going to deal with this space, you're going to have to run a Windows enumerator to run that software and just deal with there's not enough Linux guys out there to support directly doing that stuff for Linux. Sorry,
go ahead, Ben.
That's just the reality of it all.
Does Creality have their own software? I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think Curally, third party. The temporarily now I think always third parties, but but for resin printers we do have our own developed our own. I think for the printer from 2018 something like that. It's LD001, but that software it maybe still have so many improvements. So finally, for this latest LD0002R, we just choose to use third party. That Chi2 software, but
Chi2Box is a good choice.
But it works. I mean, that's what everybody else
choice.
Is. So don't try and make you ground.
Yeah,
I'd rather see everybody work on one software than have 10 different softwares.
All right, so I gotta speak to this. So Kyle Davis is asking for a Core XY Ender 5. Okay, so I had another manufacturer's Core XY on my bench for a little bit, playing around with it because I wanted to know what the hoopla was about the Core XY. I will tell you, and now it's a limited experience, and it's my biased experience, right? Because I have a bias. I did not see, other than a slight speed advantage in printing, the kinematics are so much more difficult to set up, and there's not a huge advantage over the Cartesian in the cube style printers. You're talking maybe a 20% speed increase for a lot more stuff to go wrong. And honestly, if Creality came to me and asked me directly, which they're not, but if they asked me, should we do a Core XY cube? I tell them, don't even take the time because it's really not worth it. Yeah, maybe look at trying to develop your product so you can run a little faster in a Cartesian, but I don't think that we need to see a Core XY.
There is one advantage to a Core XY, and I don't think that advantage is enough to warrant making one. But the advantage of a Core XY is everything is inside the frame. So enclosing a Core XY is significantly easier. If you try to enclose an Ender 5, well, it's easy until you get to the top. And then you have to make a bubble hat to go around the kinematics that moves on the outside of the frame. But besides that, there's just not that big of an advantage. Now, Core XY machines that I've used are higher precision, but I think that comes down to because the kinematics are so much more complex, they have to have higher quality control to make them work at all. And so the end result is you end up, like, for example, my 2 Core XY machines, I have incredible homing repeatability. The repeatability is so good that I can print one STL file, come back a week later, print a second STL file that prints on top of the first STL file, and it will work fine. You can do that on a regular Cartesian style printer. It's a little harder. You usually end up with layers not being quite right, that first interface layer. But you have to do so much work for that tiny little bit of gain. I just don't know if it's worth it.
Right. I agree. Go ahead.
I don't know if I see that just Jim put that is people asking the upgrade case for the linear race. I think we maybe have some. We do have a post. I think last year we have posted and asking people if they need. And finally, I think we received very few people vote for this. So we do thinking of that if make for the temporarily for the. I think also. Especially, I think Chris fabrication that he made a series videos of see the difference of the linear race or our stock designs. But you may check that. But also, I think some people even do the linear race on the under race something. But
I have a video on my channel where myself and a gentleman named Tony upgraded all 3 of his axes on his Ender 3 and he absolutely loves it with the linear rails. But you just brought up a really good point, Ben. When Creality puts out a question, a survey, anything, if we all don't respond and answer, they don't know that we want stuff. And he just said they got a very little response about the linear rails, and maybe that's not what the collaborative wanted, or maybe just a bunch of people didn't respond. But it's very important that we give them the feedback when they're asking for it. I think we can all agree there, because if we don't give them the feedback, then they can't improve.
Right.
Well, that's
and the linear rail thing is a whole mixed bag, right? So you get this very straight drive system, which is nice, but like was pointed out in Teaching Text video and some other places, if you don't put the vibration dampening in that we get from the POM wheels that's in our current drive systems, now you're going to see all your machine noise in your prints. And so then you're taking a very rigid system for accuracy and then putting basically a rubber buffer in it. And are you gaining that much by doing that? I don't really see it that way.
Well, the linear rails, 2 things. One, asking questions doesn't really work that well if you don't ask the right question the right way. I mean, you guys have seen manipulated political questions here in our country where they're obviously leading you toward a specific result. Well, the opposite can also happen. If you ask a question that your question base doesn't understand, they're not going to answer because they just don't know what you're asking. So it works both ways. I think Creality should move toward linear rails, but for a different reason. Not for it is for precision, but not the kind of precision people think. Now, there's a double-edged sword with linear rails. One, Creality is going to have to ramp up their quality control because the POM wheels with the eccentric nut are forgiving to slight screw-up in factory production. So if a part is off by 0.5 millimeter, you can adjust it with the eccentric wheel and compensate for that difference. With a linear rail, the parts have to be manufactured precisely or it's simply not going to work correctly. But the advantage of linear rails is not in their precision. It's in their maintenance-free nature. There's no rolling wheels. There's no springs to adjust. There's no eccentric nuts to adjust. It is a rigid rail and a rigid carrier that rides on that rail, and so it's very hard for the end user to screw that up. It's also very easy to maintain. A little bit of spray oil, wipe it down, and it's maintenance-free.
I can see a couple of use cases where, let's say, we use linear rails for the vertical aspect of an Ender 5 type printer, right? That makes sense to me. Does it need it on the X and Y? Not so much. But
yes,
on Z,
you get rid of all the wheels.
But on Z, if we can get it set up where we have them on both sides, we have that stability and that better movement up and down together with a couple of those in a like either belt linked or dual Z setup. That I think would be an awesome use of it, right? But it doesn't need to be every axis.
Another advantage of a linear rail is that you no longer need dual Z. If you use a big fat linear rail with a big fat carrier, it's so freaking rigid that you can now cantilever without a problem because it's not going to move. Because there's the reason you can't cantilever past a certain size is not because the extrusions are going to bend, but because your 3-wheel arrangements are going to flex. Well, if you're
Yeah.
using linear rails, that's not a problem anymore.
Yeah. So and to get into so I've been thinking about this, right? Because I've got linear rails from a vendor that wants me to test them out, and I'm looking at putting them on my Ender 5. And if you put 2 shuttles on, you can single side with a braced support to not have that dipping effect on a base Ender 5. I'm looking at actually putting on both sides. And if I do a conversion that's reasonably easy to do, I'll put it up on Thingiverse for other people to have or whatever, to make sure it's vetted first. But anyhow, I am exploring that, and there is use cases where it makes sense. And I think that's a really good application for it. It's just not, you don't need it in X and Y so much as you need it in Z. And there it would make sense. You know?
You don't need it at all. But the advantage from a manufacturing point of view is a lower maintenance, harder to screw up machine. So if they can get those linear rails cheap enough to where it's competitive with the palm wheels, it would make sense to switch just because of the reduced need for maintenance and adjustment.
Right.
You know what the worst part is about them, in my opinion? You're taking it, or you're putting it together, or you're taking it apart, and you accidentally slide the carriage off, and then all of your bearings are everywhere.
Yeah, then you got to order it. You got to order a new shuttle and replace all the bearings. For those that haven't experienced it, there's like, I don't know even how many there is, 20 or 30 bearings inside of these little shuttles.
A lot more than that.
End of the thing. They are everywhere, and you are not finding them all. There's just not.
If you were here earlier and you heard all that noise in Luke's background,
that's just
probably,
like that.
But no, in reality, that is the word. I almost did that with Tony's, and I was like, no, you know. And
the solution to that's easy. You don't remove the shuttle. Sorry.
There you go. Chris says he tapes his ends immediately to prevent that, which is smart. But we got about 4 minutes. I think we should start wrapping this up. I know we're about an hour over what we were going to do, but that's okay. We're having fun with you guys.
We had a good time, but I think it is about time to wrap it up. I'd like to finish eating my dinner.
Yum.
You should turn your camera
So
on.
who is it?
Yeah. Who is it?
Yeah, who is it?
I can't tell.
Nice.
So,
Kelvin.
so just to put it out there, because Jim is hosting, but he doesn't know the plans going forward. Look forward at some point us doing something with Kersey. I don't know if that's next week or further out. We'll figure out what that's going on. But Ben and I are working together. We're going to try and talk to other people in the community, probably even some people that I don't even know that well, because I get into my little tunnel, right? I have my things that I do, and I do try and keep track of what other things are going on. But Creality wants to embrace the community of the community. So that's what these live streams are about. And we're going to have more people in and more exposure to different people that you might not have come across prior in your travels. So thank you, Jim, for hosting tonight. You did all the legwork that I didn't have to do normally. So I appreciate that. And I'll let you and Chris and Ben say your goodbyes, and I'll just sign off for now. Thank you.
Oh, and a quick shout out to Dennis Epley for the PayPal. Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, so thank you so much for you all joining and sharing, and thank you for watching. I just sincerely just thank you so much that you all contribute to the whole community. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Ben, thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us. I can't, we'll just say this. I wouldn't be here without you or Luke or Chris, you know, so I appreciate all of your help, and Ben, thank you for your help over the time through chat and everywhere that you can help us. Chris, where can we find you?
Today's 3dprint.com.
Perfect. Nice. And Ben, where can we find you? On Creality?
Yeah, Creality, yes. That's cool. Yeah. Cool.
Creality everywhere, right? And Luke, where can we find you?
Sorry, I had muted.
Oh.
So you can find me at Thingiverse as Onebadmarine, at YouTube as Onebadmarine, and everywhere else as Luke Hatfield in some form or another. I am not on anything other than Facebook. I'm not on, well, I have a Twitter account, not Twitter, but what do you call it? I have some other social media accounts, but I don't use them. So just look for me on Facebook.
Sorry, I want to say that you just asked a question on Facebook, and then look will come.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I get summoned often. The people tag me in a post, and then I just appear out of nowhere.
Right.
That's very, very, very regular thing. And I don't mind that if they'll say, hey, we can't figure out what's going on with this guy. Hey, Luke, do you know? And I'll come in and I'll assess and help out. And I love doing that. So don't be afraid to ask me into a conversation to do it, because I enjoy it. It's not a bother in the least.
That's right. And you can find me on my channel at the Edge of Tech on YouTube, and the Edge of Tech on Instagram, and the Edge of Tech with a K on Twitter, because I wasn't the first person that came up with that. But pretty much everywhere. I think we all have descriptions in the videos you're watching right now, or links in the descriptions of the videos you're watching right now to find us all. So check us all out. We really appreciate you guys being here, chatting in the chats. We had an amazing group of people, chats from 2 different YouTube channels and from the Creality Facebook page. So thank you so much to Nerys, Chris, and thank you so much to Luke, and thanks, Ben, for sticking around. I know we were about an hour over, but you guys all rock. You guys keep us coming back for more, and you guys keep coming, and we'll keep coming to you. But thank you, guys. I know on my channel, I'm watching on this side, everybody's saying goodbye. So bye, everybody. Bye, everybody on Chris's channel, and bye, everybody on Facebook.
And remember, scalpers taste good.
Bye, everybody. Hey, you guys stick around. I'll be right back with you guys, okay? See you later.